Two. My cousin Claire made it. How are you? She's a Townsend as well, no? I'm just going on, so. You called me. The phone's out here. So I never thought I'd be following Irish Jack. It's a hard one. That's a tough one to follow. Irish Jack actually knows my relatives as well. You know, he knows Aunt Bunty, my father's sister. Yeah, they were very good friends up in Cork. So yeah, I'm just kind of filling in, and I'm also meant to do some talking about stuff. I told a few stories yesterday while we were playing, which is something that over the years I've developed as part of my show. From 15 years of delivering refrigerators, I got carpal tunnel syndrome in my wrists, so my hands go numb while I'm playing guitar a lot of times, so I have to kind of take a break and tell a story and shake them out and then play some more. It's worked out well, because apparently people like stories. You can always hear anybody play a song, but there's some great stories to be told. And I have so many stories about my experiences with John Entwistle that we would need a 3-day convention, and I'd have to be the only act on the thing. I like to just play a little song. It's one of my favorite songs from Pete Townsend's Rough Mix album, I believe, right? And I'm going to play it wrong, the same way that Pete plays it wrong when he plays it wrong. I have an eye for detail like that. So it's supposed to be. It's supposed to alternate back and forth between the B and the A, but it's too hard to do. so much. So, some people may be curious as to how I got involved and got to work with John Entwistle years ago. It's a long story, but I'm going to shorten it for you and give you just the juicy bits. So, I had wound up playing a cover band with a drummer who had worked with John out on the road in the early 80s, mid-80s. And he had also wanted to go back out with John and said to me, you know, someday I'm going to make this happen somehow, you know. I wound up becoming running the house band at the China Club in New York City. And we had a Wednesday night jam night where anyone who was in town, who was kind of a celebrity or whatever, we would get them to come up and sit in with us. Turns out that John Entwistle was going to be a guest at Roger Daltrey's Daltrey Sings Townsend show at Carnegie Hall. Roger's 50th birthday. Was it Roger?
Yeah, Roger.
So he had all these guests on the show, Eddie Vedder and Sinead O'Connor, Chieftains, Linda Perry, all these different people. And John was a guest and sat in with them as well. So after that show, we invited him up to the China Club to sit in with us. And that was exactly how I met him. We had just played at the China Club jamming with Jason Bonham and Steve Lukather from Toto earlier that night. So it was a pretty happening night already. And then John came walking in with an entourage of people, came walking up on stage, we shook hands, and blasted off into a 2-hour impromptu set of Who material. And needless to say, I grew up listening to the Who and playing all their music in high school bands and things like that, so I knew all these tunes. So I was kind of in charge of running the set. And even at one point I said to John, because we had a friend there who played piano and there was a keyboard set up, of course we could be, Won't Get Fooled Again and all that stuff, but Long Live Rock was a great song for someone who knew piano. I didn't want to miss out the opportunity to be able to play this with John and have that going on. So I said to John, how about Long Live Rock? He said, I don't know that one. And I'm like, come on. Like right away we had a pretty good rapport. Come on, you have to know. I'm not sure about that middle bit. So of course he's talking about the last night. But that bit. So okay, fine. And then of course we played the song and he played it flawlessly, just like he listened to the record. So a year later, he had decided he wanted to put a band together to tour with, and I got a phone call that he wanted to use me as the guitar player. His exact words were, I play well with that guy. So that's how I became the guitar player for John Entwistle Band. And at first it was going to be Jolyn Turner was going to be our vocalist from Rainbow. But I guess he wanted too much money, so then the next phone call I got was, could you handle the vocals too? And I said, well, I've been singing these tunes since high school. I should be able to do it, but I'll need to take some vocal lessons just to do warm-ups, as to not lose my voice every night, because we used to open up at the room every night. So that was one of the things that, one of the stipulations, I needed to get some vocal lessons in before we went on tour. And I did. I went to a really good vocal coach in New York City who taught all kinds of people, famous people. And she taught me a warm-up lesson that I did every night before we played. I'm going to play another song. stories for this one, so I don't know which one to tell first, or to tell both. I'll tell one of them definitely, but when we were on tour with Entwistle, we would travel in a tour bus, which had bunks for us to sleep in, and he would, we would be traveling usually all night, the night before the show or something like that, and just getting into town in time for load-in and sound check. Because we had a trailer on the tour bus that held all the equipment, so we would have to go to the gig. Sometimes if we had time, we would check into our hotels if we even had one for the night, because it wouldn't make sense to have a hotel room if you're going to be rolling that night after the show, right? So we got to save money when you're on the low budget tours. So we would get to the venue, the crew would load in the gear, and we'd have an hour or so to kill before we were ready to sound check. So we would try to raid the dressing room to see if there's any food for us to have, because we'd be starving from having not eaten yet that day. And sometimes we got lucky and there was a whole catering thing going on in the dressing room, and we'd make a couple of quick sandwiches and gobble them down before we had to go sound check. But sometimes there would be no food, and oh no, we're not setting that up until 4:30 or whatever, so we have to wait until after sound check time to eat. And so the first time it happened, I saw John's face was kind of a little grunt came out the first time. The second time it happened, a little bit bigger of a grunt. And by the third or fourth time, he was starting to get a little bit annoyed now with this setup. And we were both sitting in the dressing room, empty dressing room with no food in it, and he just looked over at me and he went, "We should rename this the We Don't Get Food Again tour." up first. Thanks so much. No, 10 minutes. Jeez. That's how we won't get fully in story. 50-room castle, as you all know, and we were recording an album there. And at the same time, Hello Magazine was doing an article on him. You might have seen it, where you just came in and took pictures of the whole place. And John with all his cars in the back lawn, that's what you call it. So, Hello Magazine was there that day. I remember we were having a big lunch in this huge dining room with armor, knights, and stuff like that. It looked like King Arthur's court. And John and I were the only ones left in the dining room, still smoking at the time, so we were having a cigarette together at the table. And he says to me, so what do you think of the album? And well, you know, it's pretty good. What do you think? Great, right? Nice, it's okay. I think it's better than the last two Who albums. You know, I'm thinking to myself, blasphemy. But it's coming from one of the members of the band, so. Hey, Ian, a little bit of a ring going on here. If you can pull the level back a little bit on the vocal monitor. Yeah, because it makes me feel like I'm Pete Townsend and I have tinnitus. So anyway, he says, so I think the last two, the album we got up sounds better than the last two Who albums. So now we're talking about It's Hard and Face Dances, which, you know, I don't know, you're all pretty die-hard Who fans, right? But those weren't the best of their stuff, was it? It was kind of, okay. Some great stuff on there. So, now I start getting into this debate with John about how they are really good. You know, what do you mean? It's good stuff. And I go, come on, man, Townsend's a genius.
Last words.
Right then I should have got struck with lightning probably, but it didn't happen. But I was still left there. And he went, oh! So I said, yeah, you know, he's written some of the greatest anthems of rock and roll music that we all grew up on, listening to them lyrics and, you know, getting those messages, and he's a genius. Basically, he was trying to say, sure, you do all the work, you figure out the lyrics, the meanings, and then you think he's a genius. So it won't get fooled again. Listen to the lyrics then. What? Won't get fooled again by bloody what? By who? So anyway, get our Vampires album that we did, if you can find it somewhere on the internet. It's as good as the last two Who albums. No one knows what it's like to be the bad man, to be the sad man. We have lives. No one knows what it's like to be the alien, to be the alien, to take it all back. But my thanks so much, everybody. It's an honor for me to be involved with this beautiful people.
One of the most nicest people I've ever met, Godfrey Townsend, an absolute gentleman.